Cowboy saves two Apache girls. Next day, their mother arrives with a strange reward. The storm had come down from the mountains without warning, the kind that turned the open plains into a gray, endless blur where direction meant nothing and survival meant everything. Jacob Hale reined his horse hard, squinting through the freezing rain that cut across his face like broken glass. He was a cowboy who had lived alone too long, a man carved by wind, dust, and regret, riding fence lines most men had abandoned years ago. That morning, he had gone out to check a broken water trough near the old canyon trail, never expecting that fate was waiting for him in the form of two small figures huddled beneath a dead cottonwood tree. At first, he thought they were animals, two thin shapes curled into themselves, but then one lifted her head, dark hair plastered to her face, eyes wide with fear and exhaustion. Two Apache girls, no older than 10 and 12, soaked to the bone, shivering so violently Jacob wondered how they were still conscious. He dismounted slowly, raising his hands, speaking softly, though he knew the storm swallowed most of his words. The older girl stepped in front of the younger, chin lifted in defiance despite the terror shaking her knees. Jacob saw something in that stance that stopped him cold, not fear, but responsibility. The kind a child should never have to carry. He shrugged off his coat and wrapped it around them both, lifting the younger girl when her legs buckled. He didn't ask questions. Out here, questions could wait, survival could not. He mounted with the older girl riding behind him, her arms locked around his waist, and turned his horse toward his cabin, riding against the wind as if daring it to take them. Inside the cabin, Jacob lit a fire, wrapped them in blankets, and set water to boil. The girls barely spoke, but they watched everything, his hands, his movements, his eyes, as if deciding whether he was danger or shelter. When the younger girl finally whispered, "Thank you," in broken English, something deep inside Jacob cracked open, something he thought the years had buried for good. He learned their names were Nalin and Taza, and that they had been separated from their traveling group when the storm scattered the horses. Night fell hard, and Jacob stayed awake by the fire, listening to the wind scream outside, wondering who would come looking for them, and whether he'd be there to face it. As dawn broke, the storm finally loosened its grip, and Jacob saddled his horse to ride out and search for signs of their people. He never made it past the ridge. Standing there, framed by the rising sun, was a woman on horseback, tall and still as stone, her presence commanding the land around her. Her eyes locked on Jacob, then shifted to the girls behind him. Relief flashed across her face for only a moment before it was replaced by something far more serious. This was no ordinary mother. This was a woman who carried authority, history, and a strength sharpened by survival. She dismounted slowly, said nothing at first, and then spoke Jacob's name, though he had never told it to anyone. The wind died. The land seemed to hold its breath. And Jacob realized that saving the girls had only been the beginning of a story far larger than himself. The woman introduced herself as Ayana, and her voice carried the calm certainty of someone who had buried fear long ago. She explained that the girls were her daughters, part of a traveling Apache family returning from winter grounds, and that the storm had scattered them miles apart. She thanked Jacob, but not with words alone. There was a gravity in her gaze, as if she were weighing his soul. She followed him back to the cabin, observing everything, saying little, while the girls clung to Jacob with a trust that surprised even him. After food was shared and warmth restored, Ayana finally spoke of the reward she had come to give. Jacob expected gold, or horses, or perhaps nothing at all. Instead, she told him a story, one of land long forgotten, of a sacred agreement broken generations ago, and of a man who had once saved her life when she was a child. That man, she said, had been Jacob's father. The revelation struck him harder than any storm. His father, a bitter man who died alone, had never spoken of such a thing. Ayana revealed that as repayment, her people had protected Jacob's land quietly for years, steering danger away from his borders without him ever knowing. Now, the debt was complete, but the reward was not payment. It was choice. She offered Jacob a place among them, not as an owner or savior, but as family, if he wished it. Or, if he chose to remain alone, she would leave him something else, knowledge of who he truly was, and the chance to stop running from it. Jacob spent the night wrestling with ghosts, with regret, with the belief that he was meant to be alone. In the morning, he walked outside to find the girls laughing, chasing dust motes in the sunlight, alive in a way his cabin had never been. He understood then that the strange reward was not land or gold, but belonging, purpose, and redemption. Jacob chose to ride with them to their camp, not to abandon his life, but to expand it. And in doing so, he discovered that sometimes the greatest rewards arrive disguised as responsibility. As the story closes, remember this: one choice, one act of kindness, can rewrite a life. If this story moved you, if you believe in the power of compassion and courage, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because stories like this remind us who we can be when we choose humanity over fear.